All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for more Jujutsu Kaisen. We are off from break, and now we get to see what happens when Yuki Tsukumo is defending herself against, contending with Kenjaku as Choso comes in right behind them. So let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, got that fresh cut. I'm so fresh and so clean. I really am. I'm happy to have this haircut because I prefer to have short hair. I don't like having it longer than it usually is. I prefer to be clean shaven. But yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another live Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reaction and review. In the last chapter, we pretty much saw Yuki Tsukumo, with the help of Tengen, try and make some headway against Kenjaku, and it actually started to work out quite well, until Kenjaku used some unknown gravity-based curse technique that pretty much almost crushed Yuki, and it fully crushed her right arm, like her whole arm is just mangled beyond recognition, and yet, despite all of this, she still chooses to fight Kenjaku. And the thing that confuses Kenjaku is the fact that she's voluntarily choosing not to use a reverse curse technique to heal herself. And she just steadily keeps up with Kenjaku. With a fully broken, mangled, destroyed arm. She's keeping up with them. So then the chapter ends with Choso popping up right behind them, like he's preparing to hit Kenjaku with Supernova again. So let's get started with today's chapter, and we're not going on break, apparently. Let's get started with today's chapter, chapter 207, Stars and Oil, Part 3. And then it cuts to Choso, and this is a flashback to when Choso, Yuki, and Tengen were speaking to each other about before the current events transpired. I don't care as long as we kill him. For me, my brothers, and the curse of our mother, that comprises half of our bodies. For Yuji's future as well. Because in a very twisted, weird way, Yuji is kind of related to Choso and the rest of the Death Womb paintings. Because, Kenjaku inhabited the body of a woman and gave birth to Yuji. So it's weird. I told you, this is weird how Kenjaku chose to take over the body of a woman, inhabit the body of a woman, be Yuji's father's second wife, and give birth to Yuji. For what purpose, we don't know. It's weird. So I still try to wrap my head around the whole fact that Yuji, I thought Choso was having like another Aoi Toto moment where Aoi thinks that Yuji and himself have been friends for like so many years, but it's not really the case. I thought that was the case with Choso, and he was just messing with Choso's head at the time. But no, they actually have a really, really weird relationship in where they're related by Kenjaku's machinations. So it's weird just thinking about that when I look back on it. I don't care as long as we kill him. For me, my brothers, and the curse of our mother that comprises half of our bodies. For Yuji's future as well. And then Yuki, got it, but listen to our plan first. Dismantling the domain, huh? You come in after that. No, I should go first. Domains are powerful, but domains are powerful, but burn out curse techniques afterwards. So there's a risk that your curse techniques will be hard to use for a while. I know you two want to exploit that, but he won't open his domain if he expects me to leap in. Even if he beats me once, it'll convince him that the fight is only against you, Tsukumo. So, they really pulled a fast one on Kenjaku, because when Choso went in there first, they really tried to... Kenjaku went under the impression that, oh, you're trying to lure me out, you're trying to do all this stuff, and he was only going to open his domain if he was absolutely sure that Yuki was the only one he was going to be contending with. But the plan was, apparently, is to fake out like Choso's out of the fight completely, so that Geto can fully focus on Yuki, and then Choso would come up right behind him. And then it cuts back to the present as Choso is behind Kenjaku preparing a supernova. And then, as Kenjaku looks around, he looks over at Choso, and then Yuki smiles. She has like this crazy blood-covered smile because she's, she got hit with this gravity technique. And then all of a sudden, Kenjaku can't move from where he is because his mass, thanks to Yuki's curse technique ability, has been altered where he is firmly planted into the ground. Wait. And then Choso puts his hands directly... He puts his hand directly in front of Kenjaku's face. Younger brothers, are you watching? It's time to commit patricide! And then, point blank, directly in front of Kenjaku's face, he hits him with piercing blood. But both Choso and Yuki look surprised, as the only thing that really gets hurt by Kenjaku is the top half of his head coming off. And then we see Kenjaku's brain inside, as he goes, no problem. Like slipping punches in boxing. Oh, this is Yuki thinking. Like slipping punches in boxing, he spun his head to deflect piercing blood. Freaky move, fallen samurai. And then Kenjaku puts his head back on and ties it back. And then Yuki proceeds to kick Kenjaku directly in the head. But damage has already weakened Star Rage, otherwise we'd have been toast. If you're revealing a stunt like that, that means you're in trouble, right? And then it cuts to both Choso and Kenjaku doing their best to land hits. It cuts to Yuki, Choso and Yuki landing hits on Kenjaku. Names are confusing me, please forgive me. And they keep trying to land solid hits on him. And Yuki, with her only available arm, hits Kenjaku in his arm. And then Choso grabs Kenjaku by the neck. She needs to power up Star Rage. Tsukumo, heal yourself. And then Yuki uses that moment to use reverse curse technique to fully heal her arm. Just like instantaneously. It just gets cursed energy courses through it and her arm is unmangled, unmutilated, and is back to normal again. Thanks, big brother. And then Kenjaku looks over at Yuki because remember, he was bound up by Garuda. The cursed spirit that's with Yuka, he was bound up by it, and he was weighed down by it, so he really couldn't move. And then, all of a sudden, he slips out of Garuda, and he flips away from both Choso and Yuki. Using reverse curse technique slowed Star Rage down and gave him a chance to escape. Garuda! And then it cuts to Kenjaku as Yuki brings Garuda down, and with such force that the entire ground, like the entire area just implodes. And the hit carries on throughout the entire area. The hit is so hard, she swings once, and the whole area implodes from the point of impact. This is something I would see on par with Gojo if he was doing stuff. She just destroyed the whole area where they're fighting just from one hit of using Garuda. And then, as Kenjaku's in the air, a shot of piercing blood comes through the ground as Choso and Yuki come up right to both Choso and Yuki launch at Kenjaku from both sides, and he merely glares at them before the both of them are suddenly and forcefully forced into the ground by this unknown gravity curse technique. And they're both just forced into the ground. Every time it looks like they have an edge on this man just comes back. But Garuda gets forced into the ground, and so does Choso. Darn it. He replenished his curse techniques. And then Kenjaku is just breathing out a sigh as he's standing there because Yuki and Garuda, hasn't been hit by this gravity. Only Garuda was, along with Choso. And Garuda just starts to move a little bit, and then it shows something making its way towards Geto, and it looks like Yuki's making his way towards him. And it shows Choso and Garuda just in the ground. 6 seconds. That curse technique has a radius of 2 to 3 meters from the sorcerer, and continues for 6 seconds. And in that interval, and it shows Yuki grabbing onto Garuda and swinging Garuda at Geto. And in that interval, he crushes everything with curse manipulation. And it shows a cursed spirit directly next to Geto. that just appears as he summons a spirit to shield him from this massive hit that was about to get very, very close to him. Like, as he's dodging this hit from Yuki, he summons this cursed spirit, this big, sturdy, bulky cursed spirit next to him, and then Yuki comes back and she winds up hitting that same cursed spirit and utterly destroying it.
He crushes everything with curse manipulation, but that won't buy time against me. I'm gonna win.
And then it shows her looking like she's actually hit Kenjaku.
Reverse curse technique and the domain war way is cursed energy, and fighting Big Brother tired him out physically. Gravity isn't as unyielding as I first thought. Given the effective range, I can narrowly escape even at close range. Attack now! You won't get a second chance!
And as she punches where his face is, we see Kenjaku dodging completely, and almost like he just shoved her hand out of the way so nonchalantly. It's like the lightest of touches, he just like placed himself away from her fist so nonchalantly and casually. It's like she punched air and he was just moving past her with the slightest of movements. And then we see something getting gathered into the air, and it's a tiny Uzumaki. It's another one of Kenjaku's Uzumakis. And then there's a massive blast that hits near the face of Yuki, and she gets hit a little bit. You don't feel extra weight due to the star rage. So while your density increases, your tensile strength doesn't. And then there's a small, tiny Uzumaki, another small Uzumaki that he directs at her stomach.
Uh-oh.
And then all of a sudden, there's a massive blast that shoots from this Uzumaki that winds up piercing straight through Tsukumo's midsection. He uses a smaller Uzumaki to just blast a hole straight through Yuki Tsukumo. Tsukumo! And that's the end of the chapter. Yo, Tsukumo's been hit majorly. This happens every time. And this is the only reaction for today because One Piece is on break and so is My Hero Academia. Neither one of those are up right now. Like, if I were to check right now, they wouldn't be up. But, wow. See, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was you, Ogata-san, who said it, but every single time it seems like they're making some headway against Kenjaku, he comes back with something that winds up giving him the edge or dealing a fatal blow to at least somebody. Every single time. Let me do this. Let me pull this chapter up and go through the synopsis again so we can better describe what we just witnessed. Because every single time, now this is something that I've noticed. Yuki got packed up. Seriously. They slipped up. They really did slip up. Because okay, so here's the thing. I've been noticing that there's a dichotomy here that parallels to that of My Hero Academia. I really hope I'm using the word dichotomy correctly. A division or contrast between two things that are represented as being opposed or entirely different. I think the correct word, okay, so that's the dichotomy. I think the word I should be using is parallel. There's a parallel between how things go in My Hero Academia to how things go in Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen is far more brutal than My Hero Academia, yet one thing remains constant between the two of those different series. Every time the heroes look like they're really getting a leg up, the villains tend to have a moment where they get a leg up as well. The same thing happens for Jujutsu Kaisen. Every time it seems like Yuji or Fushiguro or even Gojo are having a good string of luck, something happens that causes the villains to have a string of luck. Case in point, what seemed to be like Gojo just murking every other cursed spirit that was there and taking out thousands of transfigured humans using his curse techniques, the Six Eyes and the Limitless. And he was doing really well. He was manhandling literally everyone that he ever came across. But then he got distracted by seeing Sugero Geto's face, which allowed him to get sealed in with the prison realm and pretty much eliminate the biggest ace in the hole that the Jujutsu sorcerers ever had. And that allowed Kenjaku to basically rule over Japan pretty much and introduce a culling game where he forces people to kill each other, making everyone have like a cursed technique over them, or at least cursed energy within them, and requiring them to fight each other or they die. And then when it seems like when Yuji and his team found someone that can undo the seal that is on Gojo, while in this culling game, we see Kenjaku making his way towards Tengen, which is by far the worst case scenario, because if Kenjaku gets control of Tengen, who at this point might as well be a cursed spirit himself, because that's how long he's evolved without having a proper vessel to reside in. If Kenjaku gets his hands on Tengen, it's essentially as if All For One got his hands on One For All or Star and Stripes' New Order quirk. That's essentially how it is. Every time it seems like the heroes are having a good string of luck, the villains always come back with far more damaging repercussions for these heroes having a good string of luck. Case in point, what seemed to be like Choso and Yuki Tsukumo actually having a leg up on Kenjaku, it actually looked that way. They managed to land some hits on him, they actually managed to touch him, because at this point, he was almost untouchable, until he got into this fight with Yuki Tsukumo. She broke both his arms, snapped them both off, but because he uses reverse curse technique, he's like back to normal. It seems like piercing blood him in the face, but he just let it go across his forehead and wind up cutting through the stitching that kept his head, the top of his cranium attached, where you could see his brain inside, the brain of Kenjaku, where pretty much his ability to switch bodies resides. Every time it seems like there's a moment where I wouldn't say good guys, but where it seems like the people we root for versus the people we are definitely not rooting for, get a moment where it seems like things are going good, it just goes bad. Which is why we are faced with a situation where Yuki Tsukumo gets shot straight through her midsection, and it's a big hole. It's a big hole. It's not like piercing blood, it goes through the shoulder and then you just got like a small hole that's going through there. No, this is like this person's spine no longer resides in this space you just shot in type hole. Unless she can use reverse curse technique on herself right now, she may not make it. But every time like he continues to use this unnamed gravity technique, and then he uses maximum Uzumaki to blast Yuki in the face to get her distracted, and while she's bracing her face, he comes down below to her midsection with a smaller Uzumaki and just blasts a hole in her midsection. So unless they do something, we may wind up losing a special grade here if something is not done. Because there's only 4 special grades. Sugero Geto, but he's dead, but Kenjaku inhabits his body. Satoru Gojo, he's been sealed. Yuta Okotsu, he's currently doing whatever he's doing in the culling games right now. And of course, Yuki Tsukumo. But if something is not done to save Yuki right now, like if she doesn't heal herself with a reverse curse technique, and mind you, I don't even know what her cursed energy reserves are for her to be able to repeatedly use reverse curse technique. We're gonna have to find out in the next chapter. But every single time it seems like we get a leg up on Kenjaku, he keeps coming back with something that this dude is always prepared. Every time. Even when it seems like he's been caught or caught dead to rights, he calmly just weaves his way around any situation, and he always delivers a massive blow to whoever's on the preceding side of his curse techniques. No matter what it is, it's just like, how are you supposed to beat this man? Okay? How are you supposed to beat him? And there's no break. No, there is no break. So we're getting One Piece, My Hero, and Jujutsu Kaisen all next week on Christmas. So it's going to be, how do you beat this man? How do you beat this man? Because even if you were to shoot him in the face, he just casually puts his skull cap back on and just stitches it back up. He stitched his head up during a fight. So if that doesn't tell you how unfazed he is about literally anything that's happening to him right now, it's like he can have moments where his composure is broken for a split second. But once he understands the situation, he goes back to being calm. That's literally every single time. So how are you supposed to beat this man? Like, hold on. Let me just come over here. Because he has Maximum Uzumaki. And the thing about Maximum Uzumaki is it's already a massively powerful technique. Combines cursed spirits the cursed manipulator has absorbed into one. Uzumaki takes the form of a swirling cursed spirit that levitates behind the user. It darts forward in an instant to hit the target and unleash a powerful attack of super condensed cursed energy. It's literally him being able to condense cursed spirits down into one singular one and then unleashing them in an instant in a condensed cursed energy blast. This man has cursed spirit lasers that he could essentially use by combining all the cursed spirit, a certain number of cursed spirits that he has into one, and then condensing them into a beam that he can fire. So, like, what doesn't this man have? Like, let me go over to Kenjaku's abilities, like what he can do. So he has reverse curse technique, obviously, which allows him to heal. Cursed spirit manipulation, which he stole using the body of by taking over Geto's body after Geto died, because Geto is dead. Geto is dead. This person we see here is not Geto. That person's dead. Who's in Geto right now is Kenjaku. He literally replaced his brain and is residing in him now. But he has Maximum Uzumaki, and of course the idol transfiguration that he took from Mahito after Mahito reached his pinnacle of his strength and he absorbed him. So he has all of these abilities plus an unknown gravity. An unknown gravity technique. It's like they're fighting Yua. If they were fighting Yua, they would not have lasted this long. But I understand the example. It's almost like it. If they were really fighting Yua, no one would have survived this long. No one. But it's essentially like that, Ogata. It's like this man has a plan for everything. It's like they're fighting All For One if All For One could use curse techniques and he didn't have quirks. It's like they're fighting All For One. Because when you think about it, Kenjaku pretty much had so many plans in his mind. Like over the countless years he's been alive. He's been alive for centuries. He's got plans just like All For One has plans. And he has backup plans for those backup plans just in case his former plans don't work, just like All For One. He's very patient and he's willing to wait, just like All For One. He has a maximum, he has people under him that he, is capable of showing some camaraderie with, but it's only for the sake of furthering his own goals, and he's not afraid to literally lead them to the slaughter if it means furthering his goals. Just like All For One, both of them are supremely powerful. Both of them are supremely powerful, requiring someone of power that is so beyond any other person that only those individuals pose a threat to them. So they would rather seal or manipulate events and make it so that this person cannot fight them directly, because then they would just complicate their plans. All For One versus All Might. Kenjaku versus any user of the Six Eyes or the users of the Limitless. It's that same parallel. And every time it seems like the heroes get an edge up that makes it seem like they're going to be able to get one up on All For One comes back with one other strategy that just upends everything. The same thing with Kenjaku. Every time it seems like we have a leg up against Kenjaku, he comes back with something that either grievously injures a very important and powerful individual that we desperately need on our side, or he does things and manipulates things where it causes even these heroes that we root for to get sidetracked by something or blindsided by something or make it so that they can't fully focus on Kenjaku. It's the parallel that I keep seeing here, and I've been noticing it ever since the Shibuya incident. Ever since the Shibuya incident, ever since I read through the Shibuya incident chapters, it's always been that way. And it's like, how are they supposed to beat him? They need Gojo. They need Gojo. Yuki's surviving until she got shot through the stomach. Choso is currently buried under who knows how many pounds of gravity or how many tons of gravity that he's currently, succumbing to right now. He's currently subjected to right now. Yuji, we haven't seen Yuji and company in a very long time. Ever since Kenjaku showed up, it's just been chapters focused on him completely. We haven't seen Yuji. We haven't seen Yuta. We haven't seen Fushiguro. We haven't seen anybody else except for these special grades that are fighting right now as Kenjaku tries to make his way towards Tengen. We haven't recounted or seen what anyone else is doing right now, so I really would like to know what they're doing as we are seeing a life or death battle happening between two special grades and a painting death womb right now. It's just, every time it looks like the heroes have something that could help them against Kenjaku. Kenjaku comes back and says like, yeah, Uno reverse card, and then it's, boy. It's like every time I see this not only in Jujutsu, but I also see it in My Hero as well. I mean, granted, I love these stories, I really do, but I'm just like left wondering, dumbfounded even. How are they going to beat this individual who keeps nonchalantly overcoming every single obstacle that is presented to him? I don't know. We're going to have to find out next week. 3 chapters for 3 different series next week on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you all are as well. That's all I got for this reaction. It's just like, this was a great chapter, but I'm still just wondering, how are you going to beat this man? How are you going to beat this man? He keeps having a trick up his sleeve that makes it so that he's always the one who's still standing. Even if Yuta comes, I don't think it'll help. Well, I mean, when Yuta fought Geto originally, actually, no, when Yuta fought Geto originally, before Geto died, Geto was left grievously injured by Yuta. But this is Kenjaku, who's been around for centuries, who has strived to bring about his own plans to fruition and has gone out of his way to kill any member of the Six Eyes he comes across, even going as far to kill a member of the Six Eyes, a user of the Six Eyes, and not member of the Six Eyes, but user of the Six Eyes, as like 6 months after they were born. He went as far as to kill them. So it's really the Six Eyes and the Limitless that he fears. He won't say it, but it's the only thing that really has a chance of just completely dominating him, which is why he sealed Gojo instead of trying to kill him, because trying to kill him would have taken way too long. But sealing him, however, that would have been far much easier. But if Yuta comes, we don't even know. I mean, they need help. Choso and Yuki need help. I don't know. Man, it's like, how are you going to take this man down? What does the final days of Jujutsu Kaisen look like where Kenjaku is defeated? What type of world will we be looking at then? I'm sorry, I'm droning on. It's just that I'm just thinking about all the possibilities of how this man could possibly be beaten and by who. But it's like, what if he just pulls out another Uno reverse card again? I don't know. It just leaves me thinking. I'm sorry. It's just, when I see chapters like this, I just think in my head, how can they possibly overcome this person who's overcoming everything that is launched his way? I don't know. We'll just have to find out next week. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. All I can say is I really do enjoy reading these chapters for all of you. And as we get closer and closer to the end of this year, I just want to say thank you for making this an amazing year. You've allowed me to be able to pursue my goal and dream of being able to turn this into my full-time job. and I will never stop thanking any single one of you for all the help you've given me. To all my moderators, Psycho, Ogata-san, and everyone in between, I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to live out my dream, because this really has been a dream come true, and it's just getting better and better as this channel grows more and more. Like, I can't believe I can say that I'm getting closer and closer to having a 4,000 subscriber channel. I'm getting closer, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who helped make that happen. But that's all I got for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to relax a little, and then later on, we're going to hit up Marvel's Midnight Suns, because I got to get back into that game and finish it before this year is out, because there's games in January that I want to play, and then throughout the years of 2023 that I just can't wait to bring to this channel for all of you. But I'm done for the day. You guys stay blessed. All I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then like, subscribe, share with your friends and family and everyone else you know, and maybe even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples. How are we supposed to be Kenjaku?